Well, hello, gamers and storytellers. Welcome to the third episode of Storyteller's Lounge. My name is Dylan DeVille, and I am joined by the one and only Sly and Sonic fam,
What's up?
and of course, Gamebox, also known as Tim Burton fanboy.
Correction, it's Tim Burton fanboy 76, and Gamebox can't attend because he is on a vacation to see Norm of the North.
Yeah, that's effective.
Okay then. Today's episode we'll be talking about what type of stories we write and giving you tips of how to write and stuff.
Alrighty, so who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Nice.
Alright, so I guess the best way to approach this is to just go ahead and just introduce what kind of stories you write individually. When it comes to me, I am I flip-flopped a lot. I mean, a lot of writers, whenever they're just starting out, flip-flops a lot around what type of style they want. Recently, I've leaned more into third-person omniscient. For those of you who are unaware, that's the type of stories whereas events and character thoughts are being described, by an objective being. So basically, in a sense, you can see all of the characters' thoughts and you can follow multiple perspectives. That's my favorite type of POV to write, and the genre I tend to lean towards is more action adventure. However, I do like to write a good horror story every now and then. And yeah, that's pretty much the type of stuff that I write.
Okay. I'll go next. So, sorry, 2 seconds. So pretty much the stories I like to write are, well, of course, I try to follow, I think it's 3 keywords I try to go for, and that is entertain, inspire, and relate. Because, of course, we've all got inspirations. My inspirations for storytelling were Tim Burton and Pixar. Tim Burton, because of the way how he puts creativity into his stories, and Pixar because they are literally the kings of telling a personal and relatable story. So what I'm trying to do when it comes to these stories is I'm trying to make them as relatable as possible. I'm trying to add a little bit of, how do I say this, fairy tale-esque kind of thing, or just make fictional things with a real life tone behind it. Like, for example, in some of my fan fictions, even in the Sonic stories, I try to use those keys, with simple morals as well, because they're fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I like to tell stories that relate to people.
Nice. So, my stories are flip-flop as well. I focus on, mine's format is script and where the characters talk and stuff. So my basis is psychological or drama type-esque storytelling, and I like people get on their edge, on their seats. So yeah, that's basically it.
Just wanted to quickly get back to what you said. You said in a script format, am I right in saying that, Dylan?
Yes.
I should have said something about that. Yeah, pretty much how I used to do it. I used to just think I'm writing a script, but now I've just kind of branched out of that because the writing was freaking awful, because it would be like this. This is what my stories used to be. It used to be like this. Sonic goes to the workshop. Hi, Tails. How are you doing today? Good, Sonic. Would you like to buy a mallet? Sonic gives Tails a ring. Of course, Tails. That will be 1 ring. Oh, I don't know.
Usually describes 75% of the stories on Storyfire. That's the majority of them.
Oh, I'm so funny. Amy Schumer has a run for her money. but in the good name of storytellers, we don't talk about terrible comedians here. So if you have any terrible comedians that you'd like to throw in the comment section, please go away, or I'll have you arrested for burglary.
Yeah. All right. So now that we got our individual writing styles out of the way, so the main purpose of this entire episode is to also throw out a few tips out there. Now, and in no way we're professionals, right? We're pretty much aware that that like we're not like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. So like, but we've been writing for. I don't speak for everyone, but I'm sure that we've all been writing for years now, and yeah, we have some experience. Yeah, and we have experience in like no, you're good. We have experience in like pursuing this type of art style and passion, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we've read a good bit, and yeah, so that's really like the main purpose of it, just to throw out some tips that we've learned, and who knows, maybe years later we'll look back on this and be like, oh wow, that was like I was kind of like figuring stuff out at that time. So yeah, we're just giving out our tips. We thought it'd just be a fun topic, so yeah, and I just repeat the same thing 3 times. I'm a professional at this, guys. Yeah. Anyways, who wants to go first?
Would it be okay if I went first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, some of the tips that I'd like to put out for new writers is try and put yourself in your character's shoes. As I mean, like, of course, don't add yourself into these stories, because A, it's weird, and B, it just comes off as wish fulfillment kind of thing, or self-insertion. But what I mean by put yourself in your character's shoes is like, think to yourself like this: how would I act if I were in a situation like this? It's kind of like if there are people who are really good at acting, I would say try put yourself in your character's shoes. How would I react in this situation? How would real people interact, is what I'm basically saying. So I think the best way is try and make it more realistic, or try to make it more realistic, or just try and find a way to add these fancy languages. Like, for example, if you want to like write a story from like the 18th century, I would say be very, very clever and be very, very experienced with that. I mean, of course, I haven't done anything like that. I'm just throwing shit at a wall. So I would say be very, very careful with it and make sure that it is on point with what you're doing with your stories. But overall, I would say the biggest tip for me would definitely be have fun. Have fun, kids! We're storytellers!
Yeah! But yeah, I definitely do agree with what you said about the whole self-insert thing, because that does make your work come off as very amateurish, and like kind of shows that you don't really have any originality. If like the best idea you have for a main character is literally yourself, and it also comes off as a little egotistical too. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're writing like a harmless little fan fiction or like whatever, or like just like you're just starting out, then it won't hurt. And you can also, by the way, like I heard this, like you can have your main character have a lot of similarities to you. In fact, in something I was writing recently, the main character and me aren't so different when it comes to like our thoughts on like current world views and stuff. But just don't have it be yourself if you're writing like an actual real book, because it's not gonna go over well. It's just gonna come off as dumb. Yeah, and there is a thing when it comes to these things, and this is actually a really big tip I forgot to mention earlier, and I am kicking myself and I'll mention it. When you're creating worlds and when you're creating characters, more specifically characters, give them something to work with. And as I mean by that, I mean give them flaws, give them personality traits, give them life, instead of just, what's the best way to say it? Just give them notes saying, this is your character. I am, for example, my character is, I am shy, because it makes it look one-dimensional. And personally, just, again, make your character realistic, relate to your audience, because
what I think the main key for storytelling or making your character relatable is having the audience member go, huh, I can relate to this character. But once again, always give your character problems to deal with, because again, it shows progress in character development in your stories, and if you don't give them things like that, Mary Sues and Gary Stews are a thing, and that's not good. I'm done talking, my throat's about to die.
Yeah, 100%. Your character, like some of the best stories out there, your characters move the story, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You want to go next, Dylan?
Sure. My number one tip for writers is do not plagiarize, please.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people out there copying work and probably earning money, and they didn't do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't plagiarize.
I don't like Yeah. Sorry for interrupting, Dylan. That's a thing, like, I just don't understand why there are people just out there copying other people's works, because in my personal opinion, I mean, I could say the same for remakes as well. For those of you who do not know, I don't like the idea of remakes, because it's like you're going back to square one on a project you've already worked on. It is, as someone who's actually had to rewrite or go back and do some remakes, it is utter hell, trust me. Like, there's points where you have to go through where it's like, oh, I've got to remake this, but I don't know if my heart's in it. That is just annoying. And when it comes to, like, plagiarizing other people's stories, why? So you can bank off of someone else's success. Because, A, it won't, trust me, and don't copy them, just make it an inspiration. Like, honestly, it's not that hard from the perspective of a storyteller.
Yeah, be original. Take your time building your world, characters, so when you write it, and publish it, it'll be perfect. Don't rush it. Keep it true to you.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
100%.
Like another thing that Dylan mentioned, don't rush with your stories, because I'm gonna take a guess, because I can't speak for everyone, that there has been times where we had to rush stories, and trust me, like when you try to find the deadline, it's like when you're trying to find the deadline, it takes you out of the zone. Like, if you're rushing to get the story out, it will either turn out bad, or you will look back on it and say, oh, I remember rushing on it, oh, I'm kind of nervous, it wasn't good. And as someone who actually had to give that a shot, that is just, ugh.
Yeah, rush stories. I mean, like, even best case scenario, if you rush a story and it still turns out good, it will almost 100% of the time, like, you'll look back on it and be like, man, if only I hadn't rushed and would have tuned this up more, then maybe it would have been way better. Or like, maybe if I had explored this idea instead of just pushing it out the door, then it could have been something truly great. So, yeah, rushing is definitely not the way to go.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people, or a lot of fanfic writers out there don't really do this, but if I had to give out an extra tip, it would be like, give your world a personality, or give your setting a personality. Don't just have this bland, boring setting that doesn't really add anything to the plot, because trust me, the setting is as important as your characters are. Like, if you've got a city, like, alright, imagine this. You've got a city with no people in it, just these buildings, just these plastic boxes. You don't get anything. Like, there's no personality to it. It's just boring.
100%.
Yeah. I got one more tip. If you have writer's block, go away, watch something, or see what inspires you, and then once one thing would definitely click, then you can go back to your work. Yeah.
Another thing is, this actually works with what I do. before you actually start writing your stories, grab either a notebook or go on a Word document and plan out what you want to happen in your scene. Like for some of my upcoming stories, plan out what's going to happen in your scene. Plan out what personalities your characters have. Like, for example, here's a character, I'll call him Steve. Steve is a shy person. That's his character. That does not work. So I would say, here's Steve. He is a shy person. He loves to play video games. He's very anxious in the real world. And, well, if I had to add one more personality, what would it be?
Gets bullied.
Yes, exactly, he gets bullied. There you go, that's a character. 3 things from this character.
Yeah, that's really good points. Okay, so my tips, I'm actually over here shaking my boots because the Gamebox said exactly what I was going to say. But to expand on that idea a little bit more, one thing that I would highly recommend, this is basically what Gamebox said, but I'm just like going like a little further with it. Have character profiles. So if you guys don't know what character profiles are, you basically take a character and then you have a lot of these categories. You have ethnicity, you have what their family's like, because what someone's family is like can tell you a lot about that individual person and give you, the writer, a better understanding of this character you're making. Have it to where like you know what their family situation is like. Plan out their sex, their gender, their sexuality, like just physical traits about them, how they look, how they act, their how they move around, like body emotions. I don't know. I'm stuttering now, but yeah, just envision this character as if it's an actual real person, and take a handful of those categories and be sure to have those down. And another thing I was also going to get into, aside from character profiles, is I cannot stress this enough. This is probably the biggest tip I have to give. The Gamebox basically said this, but I'm saying it in a different way. Give everything a point. He said plan stuff out, and I highly agree that you gotta plan stuff out, but to go along with that, also give everything a point. You have no clue how many times I'll be reading stories on Wattpad or Storyteller, and there'll just be this entire chapter dedicated to this one random subplot that goes absolutely nowhere. And I'm just like, cool. That was like 10 minutes of my time wasted. That had nothing to do with what was happening. It's like, you gotta give everything a purpose. You gotta plan stuff out, plan out how this correlates with this. Because when you're watching a movie and maybe like you hear a main character say, be careful around this, and you're like, that's gonna lead to another scene where they're gonna have to like maneuver their way around the situation. No, it never goes anywhere. It's just a wasted line of dialogue that could have led to something bigger. As a writer, you gotta know what has a purpose in your story and where things are going to go. And make sure, and please, for God's sake, please don't have any useless main characters. All right, Tails from Sonic Forces. I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Just give your characters a point to the story, right? If you like side characters, it doesn't matter what you do with side characters. Side characters can just be there to die off. It can be there to tie into another main character's arc. They can just be there to just say, I like pizza, and then leave the story forever. You can do whatever you want with side characters. But with main characters, make sure they play a pivotal role in the plot and they're not just there to waste time. Make sure that you know exactly what role they're going to play in the narrative you're trying to build. And yeah, those are really the main 2 tips that I have to give.
Yeah.
Gamebox and Dylan knocked out the park with their tips, so I just kind of just went in that direction.
Yeah. Another thing that just popped into my mind, the best way to understand what to do with your characters is either look at some YouTube videos on how to tell stories, or the biggest one, just buy some books on how to do filmmaking, not filmmaking, but storytelling. Apologies, I stuttered there. One of the books that actually got me thinking on how I should do this was Pixar's storytelling book. I will leave a picture of it when the video is out. And I would mostly focus on the autobiographies, or just the biographies of the directors on their journeys on how they went from someone who got inspired onto someone who's inspiring others, like with guys like Tim Burton and Zack Snyder. They were all like us. They were everyone who was inspired by other people, and then they went on to inspire others. And the thing is, I love that. I love it when people inspire others. So, again, the biggest tip, and I cannot stress this enough, look at other people and please, for the love of God, do not copy. And stick to your own vision. Create a vision. That's the big one. Create a vision. Make something that you feel that is your style and your way of storytelling.
100% agreed. Yeah, one of the best ways to... Oh, my bad, Dylan.
No, that's good.
I was going to say, one of the best ways to improve your writing, and this is probably the most underrated tip people give about writing, the best way to improve your writing is to read. I know that sounds crazy, but the more you read, the more writing styles that you'll be exposed to, and the more tricks that you'll see your authors do, and the more experienced you will be in the overall art style. Same thing goes with anything. Say you want to be good at video games, watching professional streamers and will let you know what the clear metas are, the clear strats, how to get better. If you want to become a filmmaker, I mean, that's why you watch all those movies at film school, because watching movies made by really talented people can give you a lot of insight onto how that overall process works. So yeah, if you want to become a better writer, the main thing is you gotta read. You gotta read a lot, because that gives you a lot more experience into the overall art style.
100% agreed. Any other tips for us, Dylan?
Tips. I got nothing, man. I said all I had to say.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of tips. I've literally said everything. I've said everything in my book of storytellers tips. I've only got one page in one book.
This one goes out to all the Wattpad authors out there. So if you're writing fan fiction and your characters are underage, be sure to keep that in mind. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, that's the last tip I have, okay? This one goes out to all my homies on Wattpad who's writing fan fictions. Please, for the love of God, stop writing underage sex. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and if you are a fan of The Loud House, I mean, I'm technically a fan of The Loud House, please, for the love of fucking Jesus, sorry for swearing, but I'm sick of this. Please realize that I'm not gonna say the word because I hate the word. Please don't write these weird shipping relationships, because it just comes off as cringy. I mean, it is cool to have for example, a Son Amy shipping. I'm not a Son Amy guy myself. I'm more of a Son Ali fan. I've got no problem with Son Amy, just to let that know. But I feel it's just two characters smooching all the way until the story ends. Add a story. Make it into a story. Because if there's a story behind Son Amy, I feel it can work.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, me and Gamebox are gonna battle someday, because personally, I'm in the Son Amy, so we're gonna have to settle the score sometime. Yeah, but
unlike him, unlike the other Son Amy's, he's actually okay with the fact that I'm a Son Ali fan. So I just want to say, I doffed my hat to you, mate.
Oh yeah, no, I don't send death threats to the voice actors on Twitter. So yeah, don't worry, I'm good, guys.
We wanted shipping. We want this in our show.
We want this in our story. One guy who was so that one guy, people probably have no idea what we're talking about. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, guys. You saw that one guy who was saying death threats to the Sonic Boom voice actors because Son Amy was they said they weren't really into Son Amy, and this dude literally went on a whole tangent on Twitter and they were making fun of him. It was the funniest thing.
And for those out there who are really, really toxic, please don't do that, because it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Wake up, face the music, smell the coffee. It's not working. It will never work. I think that's all we said, I believe.
Well,
Yeah,
I like
somehow
to
we got this on me, but
Sorry,
I like
Dylan?
to reiterate.
what's up, Dylan?
I would like to reiterate that stay true to your vision of work. Stay positive. Don't be negative.
Mhm.
Write what you want. Don't copy. Have fun with it. And stay lit, y'all.
Thank you very much. Well,
Yes,
I think that's
stay
everything.
lit.
Alright, stay lit, everyone. Thank you all
Alright.
so much for joining us back on the 3rd episode of the Storyteller's Lounge. We will be back to doing this again very, very soon, but we do have we do have special projects on the way as well. I'm currently working on a Batman 89 review, which should be out next week. Dylan is gonna.
Let us all. Let us all shamelessly self-promote.
Yeah, because we're not funny.
Dylan, what are you working on that you want everybody to know of?
Currently I'm working on a few different series on Storyfire, which is like in limbo right now, but the app, I mean, the series I'm working on is
Storyfire is a writing app, guys. I was just clarifying for anyone who didn't know what Storyfire is. Storyfire is a writing app, everyone.
I'm working on a serial killer series called The Mimic, which is going to be epic. And Protector Shadow, which is a superheroes series based off Story Shoot's powers. And there's one more series I'm working on, but it's a secret.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, everyone. Dylan's Storyfire account will be found in the link in the description. Anything else you want to shout?
Nah. That's it.
Alrighty then. I guess I'll go next. Batman 89 review will be coming out next week, hopefully, because video's crazy. I am also working on well, not only am I working on a remastered Sonic Powers Chapter 1, I'm working on a Pokemon fanfiction. I'm not a Pokemon fan, shocker, but it's not really a Pokemon story. It's more of like a Smash Brothers kind of story. It's gonna be called Lucario for now. And my channel will be in the link in the description below. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, along with your Wattpad too.
Yup.
Well, I'm next to shamelessly self-shout out. Okay, so I mean, well, you guys are watching this on this channel, so you guys probably know who I am by now. So if you want though, be sure to click that subscribe button. And also turn notifications because that helps your boy out. In regards to writing, I write a lot on Storyfire and Wattpad. I'm kind of working on a few upcoming fan fictions while I also work on a bigger project, which is a novel, which I have no idea whenever that's going to come out. But if you want to support me in my writing journey, you can find me on The Cool Sly Spaces on Storyfire and The Cool Sly No Spaces on Wattpad. So yeah, I write stuff, and that's it. And I think Dylan should go ahead and end this off.
Don't forget, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
Oh, no.
I'm leaving. Bye. I'm leaving.
Anyways, as always on on the Storytellers podcast, don't forget to close the book, end the game. Thanks for watching. Peace and love. Stay lit.
So everybody.
Bye bye.